We thought we had reached the stage where the society we live in respected those rights that were so hard fought for by our feminist predecessors. But we collectively took our eye off the ball. We won't do that again.
There was a parliamentary debate on the 21st of February about the reform of the GRA at Westminster Hall. It appears that whether an individual has a GRC or not, women's rights are being undermined by those who seek to remove even basic protections. People think that a GRC confers rights of access to holders, even where it does not. For GRC holders, strict privacy protections are afforded by the law, which prevent their transgender status and previous identity from being asked about or shared in many situations. The catch-22 here is that it is a breach of Section 22 to check if a person has a GRC if the person has a GRC. If more people have a GRC determined purely by self-ID, then it will be all the more difficult to ask someone their sex. Even a doctor cannot ask a patient their biological sex. This could have fatal consequences.
I think the other area where sex really matters is sports, and it appalls me, and I'm sure it appalls most people, that sports governing bodies are turning a blind eye to women's sport being destroyed by transgender athletes where there's an innate physical advantage.
Take Leah Thomas, for example.
I know that my daughter took 2 days to emotionally prepare to race Leah. She spent the days writing down her thoughts, working through her emotions, trying to mentally prepare for standing in front of a crowd next to a man, where everyone present knew the race was unfair, but no one would speak. She knew she would not win, but this was not about shame in losing. This was about being asked to measure her worth as a female athlete next to a pharmaceutically hamstrung man who would make her look like a child.
When using changing rooms and sleeping accommodation or in prison, women and girls have a right to expect that there are no males also using those spaces.
Charlotte Griffiths found 2 6-foot men in her changing room as she was just stood there in a bra. And the beardy reporter guy thought, OK, well, let's see if you can get into women's changing rooms just looking like a beardy reporter guy. He could.
I share the view that the introduction of self-identification of sex would negatively impact on existing provisions under the Equalities Act, and that this view is valid and well-founded, has been supported by the recent intervention of the Equality and Human Rights Commission.
Mhairi Wadwa transgresses 2 moral boundaries. Wadwa applied for and was given a job advertised as reserved for women at Edinburgh Rape Crisis, and is present in a space that should be for women only. Women's rights are sex-based. If any man can declare himself a woman, then there are no women's rights. If there was no conflict of rights, there would be no need for sex-based exemptions in the Equality Act. If there was no conflict of rights, women wouldn't even need to be talking about it.